Hello everybody, Miss Debbie here. Tonight we're all about stories. So less song, more stories. See how many we can pack in. So I do have a Hanukkah story because it is still Hanukkah, and then we'll dive into some Christmas stories. So this one is called The Hanukkah Guest by Eric Kimmel. And it's about a bear, a hungry bear actually. Well, Old Bear roused himself from his winter sleep. He yawned a gigantic yawn. Then he stretched himself all over. Finally, he poked his nose outside his den. A soft blanket of deep snow covered the ground. Have we got a soft blanket of deep snow outside? Spring was still many months away. Old Bear wrinkled his nose. What was that delicious smell? It smelled like something to eat, which reminded Old Bear that it had been months since he had eaten anything. Old Bear's empty stomach rumbled. He shook himself all over, then lumbered out of his den to follow the delicious smell. I guess, see that yellow smell? Hey, do you see colors with smells? Or do you see colors with numbers or letters? Some people do. You tell me if you can. It's very exciting. Bubba Braina took the last potato latke from the pan and put it in the oven with the others. The latkes would stay warm in there until her guests arrived. Bubba Braina was 97 years old, and she did not hear or see as well as she used to, but she still made the best potato latkes in the village. Every year at Hanukkah time, all her friends made their way through the snow to her little house on the edge of the forest. How they loved those latkes. Bubba Braina always made plenty, but tonight, on the first night of Hanukkah, she made twice as many as usual. Tonight was special. Tonight, the rabbi was coming. Bubba Braina put on a clean apron and set the table. She filled a bowl with nuts for the dreidel game. Kitzel the cat rubbed against her ankles as she bustled around the kitchen. One last chore, the candles for the menorah. Bubba Braina went to get them. Just then, she heard a knock at the door. It wasn't exactly a knock, more like a soft thumping. "Oh, my guest must be early," Bubba Braina said. She opened the door. The cat hissed and dived under the table. "Why, Rabbi, how nice to see you," Bubba Braina exclaimed. "Humph," growled the old bear. "And a happy Hanukkah to you too. Please come in." Old Bear lumbered into the house. He shook the snow from his fur. "I'll take your coat, Rabbi. My, how thick it is. It must be very cold outside." Bubba Braina tugged at Old Bear's fur. Look at that. Isn't that funny? "Growl," Old Bear roared. Oh, you prefer to leave your coat on? Well, that's all right. It is a bit chilly in here. Come into the kitchen. I've set the table for a lovely Hanukkah evening. Old Bear followed Bubba Braina into the kitchen. The delicious smells made his nose twitch. "Humph! Thank you, Rabbi. How kind of you to say that. The latkes will taste even better than they smell." Old Bear followed his nose to the oven. "Rabbi, I'm surprised at you. You know we don't eat until we light the menorah." "Grrr. That's all right. I know you were teasing. I'll light the candles. Will you say the blessings?" "Humph." Bubba Braina struck a match and lit the shamus candle. Then she lit the one for the first night. Old Bear muttered and growled. Humph! Who has kept us, preserved us, and sustained us to this time? Oh, Rabbi, you say the blessing so beautifully. I guess she didn't hear too well. Bubba Braina pulled out a chair. Old Bear sat down. Let's play dreidel. I have some nuts we can play with. Old Bear's nose twitched. He cracked a nut in his teeth. Rabbi, you won't have any nuts for the game if you eat them all. Growled Old Bear. Don't worry, I have more nuts if you need them. Bubba Braina gave the dreidel a spin. Old Bear sniffed at the little top as it whirled around. It stopped on the letter none. Nothing. We spin again. Bubba Braina spun the dreidel once more. This time it stopped on the letter Gimel. I win, Bubba Braina swept the nuts into her apron. Roar! Old Bear growled. I think he was a sore loser. Don't be angry, Rabbi. It's only a game. Here. She tossed him a nut. Old Bear caught it in his paws, cracked it handily, then begged for more. No, Rabbi, no more nuts. It's time for dinner. Old Bear snuffled and grumbled. Bubba Braina opened the oven door and took out a platter piled high with steaming potato latkes. Old Bear's nose twitched as she set them on the table. Do you prefer your latkes with sour cream or jam? Roar! Old Bear growled. Jam, I thought so. Bubba Braina smeared 5 big latkes with jam and stacked them on Old Bear's plate. Old Bear snuffled with pleasure as he gobbled the latkes down. Bubba Braina laughed. You should use a fork. You have jam all over your beard. She wet a towel and wiped Old Bear's face. I must tell you, Rabbi, you eat just like a bear. Grrr! I'm hungry as a bear, so I eat like one. I can see that. Bubba Braina chuckled. Old Bear ate and ate until all the latkes were gone. He licked jam and sour cream from his muzzle and his paws. Then Old Bear began to feel drowsy. He yawned. His great head flopped on Bubba Braina's lap. Rabbi, you're sleepy. Who wouldn't be after such a meal? All the latkes are gone. It's time to go home. But before you leave, I have a Hanukkah present for you. Bubba Braina took out a red woolen scarf from the cupboard. She wrapped it around Old Bear's neck. This scarf will keep you warm on the coldest nights. I knitted it myself. Grrr! Old Bear licked Bubba Braina's face. Bubba Braina blushed. Oh, Rabbi, at my age. Old Bear shuffled to the door. It was time to return to his den. He felt very sleepy. Humph, he growled as he ambled off into the night. He turned around one more time before disappearing into the forest. Humph. Good night to you too, Rabbi. Happy Hanukkah. Bubba Braina was washing the dishes when she heard another knock. I wonder who that is. Shalom, Bubba Braina. Her friends and neighbors stood at the door, wishing her a happy Hanukkah. Shalom, everybody, Bubba Braina cried. How nice to see you. Please come in. I'm sorry, I don't have any more latkes. The rabbi came by. He ate them all. Bubba Braina, don't you recognize me? It was the rabbi. He's the same color as the bear. The rabbi couldn't have eaten the latkes, everyone said. He was in the synagogue with us the whole time. Baba Brena scratched her head in bewilderment. Something strange is going on here. Rabbi, I think there is an imposter going around. He looks like you. He talks like you. He even has your beard. Just then, Esther and David, Baba Brena's 2 grandchildren, cried, "Come look!" Everyone ran to the kitchen to see what was wrong. They found the floor covered in bear tracks. A bear! Oh, and I thought it was the rabbi. Baba Brena had to sit down. Soon she began to giggle. That was a very clever bear, or a very foolish Baba Brena. Oh well, let the bear have a happy Hanukkah. I had a happy Hanukkah too, and so will you, my dear friends. David, go bring some potatoes up from the cellar. Esther, get my grater and bowl. Everybody has to help. You too, Rabbi. But I promise there will soon be latkes for everyone. So there's the bear footprint on the floor. And there she is, shredding the potatoes. Everyone's helping. Deep in the forest, Old Bear slumbered in his den. His stomach was full of potato latkes. The warm woolen scarf was wrapped snugly around his neck. Pleasant dreams, Old Bear, and happy Hanukkah. I love that story. I have got to put my sweater on because it is chilly in here. You'd think I was sitting out in the snow already. All right, that was the first book. Sorry if my head got too big in the video. Our second book is one of my favorites, Olive, the Other Reindeer. Right? In the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Here, let's sing it. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. So all of the other reindeer, Olive, the other reindeer. Sometimes words sound alike. This is such a sweet story. This is written by Vivian Walsh and Giotto Siebold. Every day, Olive took her daily dog walk, winter, spring, summer, or fall. Today was a winter's day. It was the holidays. There was music playing outdoors. People were singing along. All of the other reindeer. Olive was too shy to sing. She hummed. Back at her doghouse, Olive was wrapping presents and listening to the radio. She heard that same song again. All of the other reindeer, went the song. All of the other reindeer, Olive sang along. Olive the reindeer, said Olive. I thought I was a dog. I must be a reindeer. It was the time of year when all reindeer reported to the North Pole to help Santa Claus. Olive put down her scissors carefully and marched out the door. She took one bus and then 2 buses. She got there just in time. Santa was checking his list for the second time. Elves were busy helping the reindeer and loading the sleigh with presents for all of the good girls and boys. Everyone was getting ready to go. You know how exciting it is before you go on a big trip. Olive took her place. Santa noticed that there was a little dog in the lineup. Santa knew a lot about dogs. For instance, they can't fly. But as it was time to go, he decided to give Olive a chance. Comet, the biggest reindeer, used a piece of extra ribbon to make sure Olive was tied in safe and tight. And now they were ready to go. She's just a little dog. Olive was surprised it was so easy to fly. She's just hanging there from the ribbon. The other reindeer were very curious about the new helper. They looked at Olive so much they weren't watching where they were going. That could lead to a spill. Oh, crash! They flew smack into the top of a too-tall tree. "Oh dear," said Santa, "my sleigh is stuck in this tree. I'll have to cut it free." Olive clung to the side of the tree. She tried to fly up to help Santa, but she could not because she can't fly. She climbed up slowly and started chewing. Chewing sticks was something Olive could do well. "Thank you, Olive," said Santa Claus as they got back on their way. They had not traveled far when Olive's nose began to twitch. Olive smelled trouble. It was the smell of gumdrop candies as they fell from the sleigh. Drop, drop, drop. Olive barked, and Santa knew what to do. He steered the reindeer down and around so that all of the gumdrops fell, plop, 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 back into the toy sack. It's pretty well known that dogs have a superior sense of smell. They're always sniffing and enjoying their sniffs. "We were lucky not to lose a single gumdrop," thought Olive. Then she heard a strange sound. It was a musical note. Eee! She spun around on her string to see the night sky filled with falling flutes. Olive had to howl louder than the wind instruments. This was not music to Santa's ears. First gumdrops and now flutes, thought Santa. That tree must have torn a hole in my sled. "Prepare for an emergency landing," Santa instructed. The sleigh landed in a snowy field full of flutes. Luckily, Olive was very good at fetching sticks. It is something dogs love to do. Before Santa had finished patching the hole in the sleigh, Olive had returned each and every flute back to the sack. "Ho, ho, ho," said Santa. "We're ready to go." Do you see the hole in the back of the sled? Yeah. And there she is fetching the flutes. They were running late, but after a while, all the good children received their presents, and Santa and his team headed home. And Olive is still hanging from the reindeer. They were almost home when they got caught in the dreaded North Pole fog. The reindeer slowed down until it was only the breeze that moved them along. The fog was as thick as a pillow. It made everyone feel sleepy. Then Santa remembered something about dogs. They're expert smellers. "Olive, I'd hate to be late for breakfast this year," he said. "Mrs. Claus has planned a parade of cookies. You can almost smell them, can't you?" Olive could smell the cookies. "Olive, won't you guide my sleigh this morning?" asked Santa. Olive moved to the front of the reindeer. Thanks to Olive's nose and Mrs. Claus's baking, they made it all the way back to the North Pole. All of the elves sang out a cheer. "Hooray, hooray! Santa and the reindeer and the little doggy are back. Look at Santa's house. I'd love to live there. There's Olive on top of the reindeer. Back at the North Pole, it was a glorious morning. After eating lots of good food, it was time to open presents. The reindeer got jump ropes and the elves got toy trains. Santa reached into his toy sack. There was just one present left. It was for Olive. It was her very own set of reindeer antlers. They fit perfectly. And then everyone went outside to play reindeer games. Oh, that is too funny. That's adorable. I just love the pictures. Look at those end papers. Almost looks like gumdrops. Olive, the other reindeer. I think there's another book about Olive, and it's just as cute. Now, this is one of my favorite books in the world, Santa's Book of Names. I only read my favorite books, by the way. This is by David McPhail. Yep, I only read my favorite books. I would not share dumb old boring books with anybody. There's the Book of Names. Ooh, there's a snowy window, just like we have. Edward was good at numbers. He could count all the way to 50. He could recite the alphabet and knew the names of most of the dinosaurs. But when he opened a book and tried to read it, he just couldn't. Edward's teacher was concerned. She sent a note home to Edward's mother and father, urging that he be tested to find out what the problem was. No tests, Edward's mother wrote back. Patience. Because everybody learns to read at their own pace. At bedtime on Christmas Eve, Edward's father read aloud Edward's favorite Christmas story. In the story, Santa Claus delivers presents to boys and girls around the world. How does Santa Claus remember the names of all the boys and girls he gives presents to? Edward asked when his father had finished. And where they live, and what toys to bring them. Oh, he must have a good memory, said Edward's father. Or maybe he has it all written down in a book, said Edward's mother, as she came to say goodnight. After his mother and father had kissed him and turned off the light, Edward took his flashlight from under his pillow and tried to read the story himself. He wanted more than anything to be able to read, and he almost could, almost, but not quite. Just as he turned the last page, Edward heard a noise. He sat up and listened. Yes, there was the noise again. Edward slid out of bed and tiptoed downstairs. When he peeked into the living room, he saw that his stocking was filled and that there were presents under the tree. Santa had come and gone, and Edward had missed him. Then Edward noticed something else, something lying on the floor right in front of the fireplace. It was a book. He bent down and picked it up. The book was thick and heavy, and probably very old, for the cover was worn and the pages were tattered. Santa must have dropped it, Edward suddenly realized. He ran to the front door, threw it open, and stepped outside. Just as he did, a long shadow passed over him and glided across the fresh moonlit snow. "Santa, wait!" cried Edward. "You forgot your book." But in the jingle of sleigh bells and the rush of the wind, Santa didn't hear, and in an instant he was gone. far could Santa get without his book, Edward wondered. And when Santa realized the book was missing, how would he know where to find it? Then Edward had an idea. He hurried back into the house, quickly put on his boots, mittens, coat, and a hat. He knew what letter the word book started with, so he tromped out a huge letter B in the snow. Would Santa see it? And even if he did, would he know what it meant? Then Edward heard the sound of sleigh bells growing closer. He looked up. High overhead, Santa's sleigh appeared. It circled once, then went into a steep dive, gliding to a stop, just right beside Edward. So look back at this picture. Do you see the sled runner of Santa's sleigh? Hello, Edward. I see that you found my book, said Santa, who looked very much like the Santa in Edward's storybook, except his nose wasn't round, it was pointed. That book contains the names and addresses of all the children in the world, Santa explained. Most of them I know by heart, but I can't always remember which present to leave. That's why I need my book. Edward held the book out to Santa. Thank you, Edward, said Santa, and he gently patted Edward's shoulder. It would be a big help if you would come along and read it to me when I forgot something. Ride with Santa in his sleigh? Edward couldn't believe his ears. He stared down at the glistening snow. I can't help you, Santa, he said. I can't read. Come along anyway. You can hold the book open so the pages don't blow, said Santa. I promise I'll have you back before dawn. Edward smiled. Okay, he said, and he jumped into the sleigh beside Santa, who bundled him up in thick woolen robes and placed the open book in his lap. Then Santa gave a low whistle and the reindeer lunged forward, lifting the sleigh into the crisp, clear air. From rooftop to rooftop they went. At each stop, Santa would disappear down the chimney with a small bag full of toys. Presently, they came to a great city. Skyscrapers, dark and silent, loomed around and above them as Santa made his way from one apartment house to the next. 1 million children must live in this city, thought Edward, and Santa delivers toys to every one of them. How he did it, Edward couldn't say. Does time slow down, he wondered, or even stop on Christmas Eve while Santa goes about his work? And there he is in the city. On they went to other cities and to every town and village in between. I'll go wherever there's a child, Santa said. All this time, Edward had been holding the book and turning the pages so that Santa, his glasses balanced on the end of his nose, could glance over and read what was written beside his name, each name. So when he put your glasses on the edge of your nose, you look very professional. All this time, Edward had been holding the book. He read, and Santa read aloud, Pablo Lopez paint set and Lucy Wells baseball mitt, as Edward followed along. Edward read the words to himself while Santa read them out loud. They were crossing a vast ocean, skimming above the waves, when a huge seabird flew in front of them. As they went past the bird, the tip of its wing brushed Santa's glasses and sent them spinning. Down, down the glasses fell until, with a faint splash, they entered the dark sea and disappeared. "Oh dear," Santa exclaimed. "Now I really need your help." "Edward, do you think you can read the words to me?" Edward knew Santa was counting on him. "I'll try," he said. "Good," said Santa. "I was up to the 7th name on that page, Ben Hill." Edward counted down the page to number 7. Beside the name was a word that looked familiar to him. "B, b," Edward began. "That's right," Santa said. "Just sound it out." "B-k," said Edward. "Book." "A book it is then," declared Santa as he landed the sleigh and stepped out. "What's next, Edward?" Santa asked upon his return. Edward looked up at Santa. Doll, he said proudly. After that, Edward continued to read the words to Santa. And while Santa was delivering one present, Edward was getting another one ready to go. Finally, they were finished. Edward closed the book of names and placed it on the seat beside him as Santa emerged from the last chimney and took one final present from his bag. It was a book. "Merry Christmas," said Santa as he handed the book to Edward. "Thank you for all your help. I couldn't have done it without you." Then he took up the reins once more, and in an instant they were streaking through the dawning sky. Edward opened his book to the first page and stared down at the words. Look at that. The morning sun is coming up. Kind of looks like the sun coming up in the story Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. We should read that one next. He must have fallen asleep on the way home because the next thing he knew, his mother was gently shaking him and softly calling his name. "Merry Christmas, Edward," she whispered. "Time to wake up and see what Santa Claus brought you." Edward opened his eyes. He was lying on the sofa in front of the fireplace. "Look at what Santa left you," said Edward's father as he bent down and picked up a book. "Would you like me to read it to you?" Edward smiled. "No thanks, Dad. Let me read it to you." And he did. Once your reading kicks in and clicks, you're good to go. So I wish you a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas and a happy Kwanzaa. Or we could say Happy Merry Christmahana Kwanzaa. That's the way I like to say it. So have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Bye.